7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
International superstar, Miss Schroder Author.
You are now tuned in to Butter Be Rocker on Transparency Talks Podcast.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Transparency Talks Podcast. I am your girl, Butter B. Rocker. Listen, I am very excited about today. She is a realtor, a marketing strategist, a speaker, a coach, the author of Out of the Box. She has been seen on HGTV, Steve Harvey, Oprah Winfrey. She's been on everything. So can you guys please show some love for Miss Denise Schroder?
Hi, I'm so
Hello.
excited to be here with you.
I am excited to have you. How are you doing?
I am amazing. And you look more beautiful just in person here than you do in all of your stuff I've researched on you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that. So here at Transparency Talks Podcast, I like to dive right on in. Can you give everybody a little background about yourself?
Well, I am, like you stated, I'm in Oklahoma City and I run a real estate company with my husband. We just celebrated 10 years in business here, which is a huge deal to survive working with your husband, I think. And we've got 5 kids. We blended 5 kids. He was my FedEx guy. We saw each other every day for 5 years before our first date. And then we married, blended 5 teenagers. 4 of them were girls, which was an absolute estrogen circus in my house. And then we both quit our jobs on the same day within the first year that we got married to become self-employed. So it hasn't been easy, but I'm really glad that we took the leap, and I probably wouldn't have done it without him because I'd had, 2 decades ago, I wanted to get my real estate license, and I was in a relationship and surrounded by friends, family, all my sphere of influence that said, that's crazy. That would be an expensive hobby. Why in the world would we line the garage walls with superficial pictures of your face on them with no yard to stake? It's just kind of a crazy outer limits idea. And so that dream didn't die, but I definitely, I got a PhD in kind of suppressing my dream because at the place I was in that relationship, I kind of felt like I had to have permission to pursue things. And I had kind of lost myself in that relationship. And I began to realize that once I didn't really get the support that I wanted when I knew that I was convicted to get my license. And so I had a soundtrack that wasn't healthy, that I wasn't enough. I wasn't valuable. I wasn't loved. I didn't have what it takes. And it became unhealthy. And I knew that I really needed to move forward and get out of that situation. I'd been married almost 10 years with 2 young kids. And I actually saw a commercial in Oklahoma City from a reproductive center. And I was staying at home. I didn't have resources. And I really was afraid to tell my parents, my friends. I was pretty prideful, that I needed help. And so I donated my eggs for $1,500. And so I gave myself injections 3 times a day. I was bruised. I was swollen. I was a hormonal, basket case. And it was all in secret. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. I didn't want to be judged, but I thought, well, this is a great way to get some money. At that time, $1,500 was a lot more than it is now. And just that I wasn't subscribing to this life anymore. And I had to I was waiting for people to send me a life raft. And I finally got to the place where I was going to rescue myself. And so that was one of the things that I did. And during the time that I was trying to kind of crawl out, scratch, crawl, scream, my way out of the situation. And my mom had gotten misdiagnosed with a hernia, and she was 49, and I just turned 50 on Friday. So, the same age as I am now, which really, really puts things in perspective. She went in for like an exploratory surgery, and the surgeon found a tumor. It was all encapsulated, and he said she doesn't even have to do preventative chemo. Well, she went from about 90 pounds she'd lost 11 pounds in 14 days. And the pastor's wife came to the hospital room, and she pulled my dad out, and she said, she's dying. They're killing her here. Get her out today. So they meta-flighted her to Oklahoma City. And I can remember sitting, in the waiting room of the OR, just anticipating someone telling us the fate of my mother. He came out and said they mutilated her. There's perforations all throughout her colon, and cancer has spread very, very quickly and violently through her body in just this short amount of time. And basically, we found out, because I'm from a small town, one of the nurses that was in the OR divulged that the surgeon was in a hurry to get to a college football game the day that he did my mom's exploratory surgery. So that explains why it was such a shoddy situation, and he left all those perforations, because he was in a hurry. So we lost my mom very shortly after she turned 50. And so going through all of that tragedy, it was like I had this battlefield of the mind. Like I was trying to grieve my mother. I was trying to navigate this $50,000 custody battle I was going through, this acrimonious situation with my ex-husband and the father of my kids, and not what I wanted. I wanted to just have a normal, amicable business relationship with this human being. And finally, after 2 years of intense therapy, I remember like walking into Kathy's office, and I said, I show up and I'm here because that's what I do. I show up, but I'm too broken to be fixed. But let's see what we can do here. And she said, well, we're going to rewire you. We're going to reprogram you. We're going to rediscover who you are. And I said, I want to be rebuilt, like the saying goes, Ford tough. I don't want to ever be in this position where I'm broken and spilled out and don't even recognize myself. And I told her, I said, I don't want the unhealed parts of me to hurt other people, my kids being first and foremost. I knew that I had to heal, and I had to grow and evolve and really drill down and do an autopsy on my life, because I didn't want to end up in this situation again. And I didn't meet my husband that I'm with now. There's years that passed that I was getting in a healthier place, relationships I had. But by the time I met him, I was in a place where I was open and ready for a relationship. I feel like if you pick people when you're broken, when you become healthy, you wouldn't have picked in retrospect the same person. And so, that's a mistake I've made in the past, is picking from a broken spirit. It doesn't work out for me anyway. So finally I was in this healthy place to fall in love with my FedEx guy. And he was sexy, and he had a 1,000-watt smile and the kindest eyes. And I truly felt like after our first date, I'd loved him for 1,000 years. That's kind of the familiarity I felt with his spirit. And so we got married really quickly, and people thought we were nutbags because we blended 5 teenagers. And we probably were crazy, to be honest. And then, they say don't do major things within a year of major things. Well, we get married, we blend these 5 teenagers, and then we decide, hey, we have $30,000 in the bank. Let's quit our jobs on the same day and pursue being self-employed. So that's what we did. And we didn't arrive at doing real estate for 3 years, and we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary in real estate. So it's been great going from a place where someone told me someone didn't have a dream, and I allowed them to steal my dream because they didn't have one of their own. And that was on me. I wasn't in a healthy place where I could stand up for myself and advocate for myself. And the things that I went through, really, there was a lot of treasure in my trauma I really believe that because it built a warrior in me that I don't know that I would have dug down deep enough to recognize and utilize and know that was there. So I don't know about you, but don't you feel like God uses our failures, our denials, our mistakes? He uses us not to hinder us, but to give us extra credibility, just to be like a beacon of hope and a lighthouse to other people.
Absolutely.
And I became a family law mediator, not because I wanted to mediate divorces, but I also got my certification in a certified divorce real estate expert because walking through my divorce was the darkest time in my life. You know, it was so difficult. And then coupling that with grieving my mom, I just had this deep sense of empathy that I wanted to help other people get through it as unscathed as possible. And when you sell your home, you're selling your dream. You know, oftentimes you're selling the place you brought your babies home, and you know, you've built a life, and all of a sudden it's gone. And so that's been one of the things that I've been able to do and minister to other people is God has thrown so many dirty divorce situations at us to help them get through their real estate processes. And that's been a real gift for me to be able to help others navigate something that probably taught me the most in my life.
Okay. Well, you definitely said a lot.
That was a long answer, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
no, it's good. We're just gonna break some of the stuff down a little bit. First of all, I'm definitely sorry to hear about your mom,
Oh,
and
thank
of
you.
course about the divorce. But I do also believe that since we're talking about God, He will bring the right people at the right
Mhm.
time, and so it sounds like this your FedEx man
Yeah.
is the right man for you. So, kudos to that. And I'm glad that you was able to blend both of your families. It is tough blending
Yes.
families, but yeah, four chicks in the house,
Yeah.
plus you.
Lots of estrogen.
Right, right. So, wow, okay. One of the things that you was talking about was that I think is very important is how you didn't have that support system for your dreams, right? And
Mhm.
a lot of people do experience not having someone that supports their dreams. I think it's a two-way fold because on one instance, your dreams is just that, is your dreams, right? And it's something that it was given to you. You have a passion for it. Now, hopefully, your support system will support your dreams, but you
Mhm.
are the one, like, I'll get visions for my projects, but they are technically my dreams that
Mhm.
now my husband supports me on, but he doesn't have the same per se vision. He doesn't see what I see until it's actually done because they come directly to you. So
Yes.
so it was great that you was able to stick to your dreams or go after your dreams. I mean, first you suppressed your dreams because you didn't have that support system, which is very important because when we get those dreams, we're very excited. We want to tell people, we want to go after it. And then if you don't have the support, it will completely make you close-minded. It'll make you shut down, and then you start thinking, well, maybe this ain't what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
But I just want to encourage everyone, your dreams is your dreams for a reason. It's a blueprint, and it's a signal
Yeah.
directly from God telling you this is something. If you can dream it, then it's something that you can physically achieve if you put forth the effort to go after it. So I'm just grateful that you got the strength to pick yourself back up and to go after your dreams despite if anybody was going to support you or not, and then to get
Yeah.
married and y'all both be bold enough to say, you know what, I'm quitting my job, let's do it
Yeah.
today, and y'all both quit. Oh, that's hard right there.
It was scary, you
Yeah,
know. I mean, our kids were old enough to say, "What are you doing?
yeah.
Are we gonna be able to buy groceries?" I mean, we had these conversations in our house because they were watching everything that we did.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, but they watched us grind and they watched us go through the grit and they saw the dips and they saw the long hours and the desperation and they heard cries. they saw that, but they also saw us never give up.
Yeah. And that's important for anyone to see. I have two boys myself, and I've been an entrepreneur. I left corporate in '07 to pursue music, and I have been touring since
Wow.
then. And they got to see exactly the same thing. They got to see
Mhm.
the downfalls, but they also got to see the triumphs. And I think that that builds a lot inside of them and shows them, the tenacity that we have as parents, to go after our dreams despite what other people might say. Because again, it's your dream. You got to fight for
Mhm.
what you want. And you did just that. And now you have a very successful business doing real estate, but not only real estate, you're doing marketing, you're doing all of these different things. You've
Yeah.
now written a book. All of these things is because you had the strength to go after your dreams. So I give you much respect and kudos.
Oh, thank you so much. I think that, I didn't start, real estate till I was 39. And when you wait that long in your life to like step into your calling, I felt
Right.
like I had this immense pressure to catch up. Like I have
Mhm.
so much I have to achieve. Then I had in the back of my mind, if I die at 50, just thinking, my mother did with all these bucket list items unchecked, what do I want to achieve in this next 11 years?
Yeah.
And so that was a blessing and a curse because it's good to be driven. It is also imperative that you have margin and balance in your life so that your work goals don't swallow your family
Mhm.
time and quality time with your spouse, and
Mhm.
you have to be very intentional on that, especially when you work with your spouse. You tend to only talk about business, so
Mhm.
it's definitely a dance that we have to navigate, but we have to prioritize our relationships, and we've been able to do that. So
Okay. So I want to talk about your book, Out of the Box. Now, it has a longer title, and I want you to tell everybody the title because I was very intrigued with this title.
Yeah, it's out of the box, my response to everyone that ever told me that I couldn't make it in real estate. And the book is kind of it's not negative in any way. It's just basically I use the negative seeds that some people, decades ago planted inside me that I could never make it. And I told Troy, I said, when we do this, we are going big or we're going home. Like we are going to make this happen. Failure is not an option. I've waited 2 decades to do this. And so I wanted to pave our own lane. And we've used, creative marketing, storytelling, unique things we've done with our clients, but we've also been able to use the power of TV and media and, some things performative. And that's been a really unique gift. But I wanted to share the unique approaches that we've used to be able to exponentially grow that are actually applicable in any small business. I'm in real estate, but I also do marketing coaching. I'm also an author. And, the book is applicable to anyone just to spark hope. And I hope kind of be like taking a juice shot, creative juice shot to give people ideas and to tap into just being more innovative and not being afraid to be different.
Mhm.
In my market, there's 10,000 realtors and I want to stand out. And that's difficult. In the music industry, it's saturated.
Right.
You've got to pave your own lane. And some people are kind of afraid to create their own lane. I'm actually addicted to it and have always gravitated towards that. But I just hope that the book empowers and inspires people. And if my book sells 100 copies or 100 million copies, I was called to write it. And so that's why I wrote it, hoping that maybe I can share the way we've gained success. Maybe I can help others do the same.
Okay. Can you give us 3 tips on how someone can share their story and stand out amongst the crowd in
I
marketing?
mean, every day. So, just for example, if I sell a house, it's really easy for me to go put a sold sign in front of the house. But if I do a back handspring and do a boomerang or, do a video in front of the house, that's going to anchor something bigger than just seeing somebody sold a house.
Mhm.
Um, if I like to share my clients' stories, which we have to have the relationship to earn the right to share their stories, So recently I had a couple and they were selling it was his parents' home they'd had for 59 years, and they got engaged in the driveway. So I had them reenact their engagement on the driveway, before we sold the house, telling a story. I had listed this Victorian, gorgeous house. It was my dream house. And the day of the open house, I told Troy, he always has to go along with my zany ideas. I said, I'm going to put my wedding dress on. And he said, why? And I said, because I'm doing something. Just get the video camera ready. So I get in front of this big Victorian house. And I said, I had a big party, bazaar, wedding ring on. And I said, come to the open house. You're going to love this house so much you'll want to marry it. Hashtag put a ring on it. Well, I had always loved this house and, we were trying to sell it. Well, I found out during the open house at the very end, my husband was inside negotiating to buy this house
Oh, wow.
for me. And so, but it's really fun when you can incorporate just really fun, creative ways to stop the scroll and evoke emotion. And that was kind of a fairy tale ending that we actually bought that house. But just getting out of your comfort zone and getting out of the box, stopping the scroll, but also evoking emotion. So I think it's all about storytelling, really. It goes back to other people's stories.
Mhm. Do you think that for someone that's just getting started in whatever career, because like you said, you do marketing, and it's not just marketing just for realtors, it's for entrepreneurs in all different endeavors. Do you think that the art of storytelling is something that anyone can do? And if so, how would they start? Because people get stuck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The way I got started was 20 years ago. I wrote into Oprah and I just had some hormonal issues, and I emotionally dumped a letter. I never thought I'd hear anything back. I just shared my story, and then I got a response in about an hour from her producer, and they flew out to our house, then flew us back to Chicago. And I sat on the front row, and when Oprah directs a question at you, they pan to you. And I thought, this is simple. I'm just melted into the audience. Well, she said about 10 minutes before we were to go on the air, she said, I want Denise up here with me the entire show. Well, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm walking up, deer in the headlights, trying to hold my shoulders back, trying to breathe deeply, not let her see me, swallowing, where I couldn't hardly breathe. And she looked at me and she said, you're up here because you're vulnerable, you're transparent, you're not afraid to show your story. And if you would just lock eyes with me and just pretend like we're having a girl chat in my living room, you can impact millions of women. Can
Oh,
you do
wow.
that? And I said enthusiastically, when Oprah asked you if you can do something, yes, I can do that. And so that was one of the highest rated shows she had in 99. And I went back for a follow-up show, and I proved to not have testosterone. So my doctors were trying to tell me that I had postpartum, and I knew I didn't. And I couldn't get anyone to listen to me. And we know our bodies better than anyone. And so I just kept pushing, and I thought, well, who's better to solve this problem than Oprah? And she did. But the point in all that is, it was a pivotal point in my life where I realized the power of being vulnerable. So when we're vulnerable and sharing and showing our own stories and our own darkness and our own dips and, things that we've gone through that aren't exactly pretty and oftentimes messy, we can impact so many lives. And I saw that in such a big way with the show. And I've just kind of continued to do that. We went on Steve Harvey, and we were blended family experts. And then he asked me to come back to talk about the dangers of teen technology with their social media and their cell phones. And I became a PI because I had 5 kids that were, in the teen years. And so we've been able to use the power of storytelling and media and TV, not just about real estate, but just about things we're passionate about that we want to make a difference. And so not everybody wants to be on TV, but everyone, if you have a client, no matter what business you're in, that you want to share a really touching story, your local newspapers and publications all around are looking for content. They're starving for content. So start creating some content and send it. I mean, what's the worst thing they're going to say? Is no. I even got in touch with an author of a book that really changed my life. And I reached out to him on LinkedIn, kind of shared my story and how his book really resonated with me. And we began a relationship. He put me on his podcast, and I host a show called The American Dream here in Oklahoma City. And his baseball team, which is actually a circus, it's called the Savannah Bananas. You should look it up. It'll rock your world. They're coming to Oklahoma City, so I'm getting to interview them for our show. But I would have never even been able to start a relationship with him if I wouldn't have reached out and just shared my story and how he's impacted me. So I just think there's so many ways that, and being vulnerable online. Don't just put your highlight reel, you know, and I'm not saying get on there and complain about every business that you found a hair in your food. That's not the kind of vulnerability I'm talking about. I'm talking about, my daughter had an eating disorder and nearly died. I shared some of that journey when she gave me permission so that I could help other families because it is such a silent epidemic. You can find things that you can share every day that you have no idea other people are going through the same thing. And your inbox will flood with, oh my gosh, someone that can relate to me. You're on the other side of the tunnel, but they're still in the dark. They just need to hear somebody's voice and see a glimmer of light and hope on the other side. And that's kind of the mix that we do on social media. It's about 20% real estate, and the rest of it's just doing life. Make your clients and everyone in your sphere feel like they're literally doing life with you. So when they get to know you in a professional setting, they truly know you. Like you walking the walk. And so we just try to be really transparent with social media, and you can use that in any industry. And you're never too old to share your story. That's something you're never going to be too old for, is to open yourself up, to be vulnerable, because that's really where the connection comes from.
Definitely.
You share your message through music.
I do. And I also share it through my book. I was very transparent with my book of going through my divorce and all of my ups and downs in the music industry.
What is it called? I want to read it.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Okay. That's incredible. I love that.
I was at a event in Florida, and I heard a person, he was speaking, and he kept saying, tell your story. And I said, who's going to want to hear my story? I started letting fear, come into my mind. But on this particular day, I've had people say this before, but on this particular day, it felt like he was talking directly to me. And when you get that calling that is meant for you to hear, you hear it, And so I wrote,
listen.
right. When you listen. So I wrote the book and didn't know where to start. I just started, and my book became an Amazon bestseller in 7 hours.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Of my pre-release.
I love that.
It was really cool and unexpected and scary all at the same time.
Yes.
I really was transparent, but like you said, people can relate when you are transparent and you just really say it from the heart, because people do go through things,
People don't want to hear that your life is perfect. No, everyone knows that's not true anyway. We've all got skeletons. We've all got a story, but it's just having the strength to open ourselves up.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question. How do you and your husband, how do you balance your personal life with your work life? Because if you're doing both, if y'all both are working together and are married, how does that work?
It's definitely taken some time to navigate. So we've been doing it for 13 years. We have a set time at night that, 8:00, everything shuts down. And, he came to me when I was writing the book and getting everything ready. When publishing time came, and he said, you're basically abandoning us with this project. And so you have to be transparent with each other and listen. And so I stepped back and really had to create some margin, because not only was I doing my real estate business, but I was doing all of the things for my book. So it's like I had 2 full-time jobs, plus I was doing some marketing coaching. It was just beginning to be too much. So communication is key for us. And we're kind of like the Dr. Phil to each other. We just We tell each other how it is. We're very straightforward, and it's worked for us. We also have really clear boundaries on our job descriptions. Luckily, the things that I really don't enjoy and don't fill my tank and they're not my strengths, they're his. And so that's worked out really well. But prioritizing us before our business is paramount, because I'm not going to let our business, take down a relationship. It's just too important.
Absolutely. That's some very profound words there. So, can you tell everybody how they can reach you and book you for marketing, for real estate, for all of that good jazz?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's super easy at Denise Sells Oklahoma. And we're on Facebook, but we have a joint page, so our name is a little different. Denise N. Troy Schroder. I don't know if you can put that in your talk notes. It's quite a mouthful. But you can find me on Instagram for sure. And if you Google me, so many things pop up that you can easily find us too. And I would love to connect with your listeners and hear from you. So yeah, follow us on Instagram and send me a DM that you watch the show.
Okay. Well, I would like to take this time.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yes, of course.
I forgot to say my book's on Amazon. It's out of the box. Thanks for letting me bring that up, because I'm such a new author. I forget to even mention it.
When did your book come out?
It just dropped in October, and my publisher died 4 days before of a heart attack at Disney World. It was a crazy time to release a book, whenever all that stuff happened. So it's been really hard. It's been an exciting time, but bittersweet, because I was really close to her.
Got you. I'm sorry to hear about your publisher.
Thank you.
Okay, so your book Out of the Box is available on Amazon. Make sure you guys go and get that ASAP, and make sure you leave comments after you read it on Amazon, because of course that helps the numbers go up. So make sure you do that. And with that being said, everybody, we are out of here. Thank you so much, Denise. I truly appreciated speaking with you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.